Ah, look at this, my broskis. A grotesque, brutal first-person shooter set in the late 18th century, aka Napoleon's time. How freaking cool isn't that? Valor Mortis is developed by One More Level, the same developer who gave us Ghostrunner 2, which is a fantastic but very challenging game. This time, however, it is not all about speed, it's about timing, blocking and striking at the right moment, which, yeah, Ghostrunner 2 has plenty of as well. But instead of an ultra-fast bloody platformer, we now have an ultra-cool Souls-like first-person shooter. And this is a proper Souls-like first-person shooter. It currently has a playtest running on Steam, and it is set to release sometime in 2026. But from the playtest alone, I can tell you that these guys, they have been cooking. So let's dive into it. You are William, a soldier of the Grande Armée brought back from a battlefield grave. But the Europe you awaken to is not the one that you sacrificed for. A mysterious plague now sweeps the continent, and you have been reborn with its corrupting power pulsing through your veins. The story is mostly presented via notes that you find that place back memories of the battlefield, as well as a certain voice from a certain Napoleon who sounds very plagued. And in all honesty, absolutely nothing remarkable in terms of the story was shown in the playtest, but it did give me a good gut feeling that it is about to go very crazy with plenty of twists and turns to its story in the full game. And I hope that that gut feeling isn't wrong, because they have created a world here with a massive opportunity to suck you right in if the writing and story is just good enough.
Even the crows refuse to feast on these bodies.
Do not forget. Courage never goes unnoticed. Perseverance is always richly rewarded. The Emperor's love is eternal. And the Empire never turns its gaze from its heroes.
What was very remarkable, however, was the combat, the level design, the secrets, how well thought out everything felt. So let's begin with the actual combat. Now in the playtest, we get to play around with the basic sword, the starting sword, a pistol, and a fire spell. Yeah, there is magic in this one. The sword, it is your main weapon. That is what you will be blocking with, you will be slicing with, you will be doing finishing moves with. It is your main weapon. Then you have the pistol, which comes a bit secondary, but is useful for both environmental puzzling and shooting enemies that has weak spots. If they have a weak spot and you hit that weak spot, well, all of a sudden the pistol is a freaking ultra main weapon. But not all of the enemies do have weak spots. It also does damage even if the enemy doesn't have weak spots, but it's minimal, very minimal. And then we have the flame spell, which in all honesty I didn't really figure out how it actually works, because I tried it on enemies and it did pretty much nothing. Like, they burn, but they don't take a lot of damage at all. But it is also used to burn certain grown together things that unlock secret areas that may contain a chest or a secret boss or something like that. Nonetheless, those three weapons that we got, or two weapons and the magic ability, for what they are, they actually worked. I loved slashing with the sword. I loved hitting weak spots with the pistol. It felt good and it had great impact. It had very much that Souls-like feel. It is essential that you parry the enemy's attacks or dodge. It is essential that you charge up your swing. It is essential that you strike right after a parry. But the combat works like this. Each parry that you manage to do will fill up a meter underneath the health bar. If that meter fills up to the top, then you can one-slash the enemies. So all the cannon fodder enemies, they just take one block, not one block, but one parry, and then you can finish them off. Then you have the second tier enemies, they require 2 or 3 parries, then they're gone. But then you also have ranged enemies. You have enemies with different weapons. You have bosses. Yeah, in the playtest alone I actually found 3 bosses, 2 side bosses and 1 main boss. And I mean, I can't explain enough that more than they are extremely Souls-like. They have different tiers, you think you kill them, oh no, it's just phase 2 time. You have to block, you have to dodge, you have to learn their attack patterns. One boss, it has a swing, it has a triple swing, a double swing, it has 3 motherflipping cannons on its shoulder that it sometimes uses. Sometimes it fires 1 at a time, sometimes it fires all 3 of them. You have to be prepared, you have to dodge. It is hard as hell, but it isn't unfair. If you learn the attacks, if you learn the patterns, it is very manageable. And if you stay focused, of course. Which is how Souls-like games feel, at least from my experience with them. I am not a very experienced Souls-like player, but from the little that I played here and there, this is how it should feel. Now movement-wise, we got a sprint, we got a jump, we got a dash, all of which will be used in exploration and in combat. Progression-wise, well, you guessed it, it's very Souls-like. You save at these lanterns, and at these lanterns you can also upgrade with the points that you gathered from killing enemies. The upgrades so far in the playtest, I unlocked 6 upgrades. The progression felt good, however. In the playtest, it didn't feel like I wasn't rewarded as I progressed. I got enough points to actually feel like I got rewarded. I found a few secrets, I found a few side bosses, which all of them rewarded me in one way or another. One of the secrets actually had one really damn useful thing that I'm probably never going to use. Literally what it does is that your health potions will give you mana instead of health. I don't know why I would do that, but I need health. But come on. That's a weird item. And now that I mentioned item, you might be like, oh shit, do you have to pick up new armor and stuff? No. The items are just perks, you could say. Now the level design, it is a very linear game, but it does have some exploration. It has some semi-open zones where if you just follow the path, you're gonna miss a bunch of stuff. There is some minor platforming, some minor puzzling here and there, but so far I think that the playtest is the very start of the game, and it doesn't really amp up in terms of anything, so it's quite hard to say how it will be, but in the playtest, it felt good. I felt like the game introduced one thing after another in a good pace. But it isn't without its flaws. It does have some bugs. Nothing that actually broke the game for me so far, but in one instance, when I first played the game, I didn't record that unfortunately, but the first side boss, he just flew through half the map. Then I died, I went back to him, and then he flew like 100 meters away, or maybe more, like outside of his arena. I could go to him, but poof, he just flew there. I didn't even parry him, I didn't block him, no nothing. It was just pop, and then he was there. And no, it's not an ability that he has, something was bugged. Other than that, it actually felt quite solid. There were some weird visual things with the arm placements when you do certain things, like it looks like it has a third arm or something. They could just easily fix that, but it looks a bit weird as it is now. But I think that was literally it from the playtest that didn't really work, or wasn't really up to the best. Presentation wise, this is an Unreal Engine game, but it runs smooth as hell. I can't put it any other way. I have a pretty powerful PC, so sometimes when I say that a game runs smooth, it might not run smooth for you depending on what hardware you have, and sometimes a game just has difficulties with certain hardware, non-dependent how strong it is. It's just not compatible. Things like that happen. This, however, for me, like the fans were barely running. I cranked that up, I had ray tracing on, and the fans, like I couldn't even hear the PC. I was on over 100 frames all the time, no problem. It did have like half a second of a loading time in certain areas, but never during combat or anything like that. It was smooth, stutter-free. And I'm not going to drag this video out, considering it is quite a small playtest. It took me about an hour to finish it, and I did a lot of exploring. I found 2 side bosses, but I want to say that it felt very stable. It felt like this is going to be a very good game. It felt like this game is going to have a cult following once it releases, but it is hard as freaking hell, especially if you're like me and you're not really used to the whole Souls-like gameplay where you have to parry, you have to have patience, you can't just go guns blazing, it doesn't work. And even when you feel like, oh shit, I mastered this now, I can kill all the regular enemies, boom, there comes a boss and he fucks you over big time. Yep, that's how these games work. You are going to be frustrated. I was frustrated like hell in the last boss of the playtest, but once you get them down, it is incredibly rewarding. Not just that it gives you stuff, but for yourself, like, oh god, I freaking did it! Oh, I'm the best! Nobody can take me down. That's the feeling that you get. And that's how I feel whenever I see any of your comments or any of you talking in the Discord. God damn it, they are the best! Nothing come close to how awesome they are. And with that, I want to let you know that if you even slightly like this video, hit that like and subscribe. And thank you a million times for watching all the way to the end. Broski, I motherflippin' love you. And I will see you in the next one. Over and out.